Mary from Macmillan Library, and we are back with another Let's Make Lunch. And this week is one of my favorites. I say that every week, don't I? Wait a minute. No, really it is. It's pizza. English muffin pizzas. I love English muffins and I love pizza. So it's such a great combination. This is a great pizza to make. Just, if you have some English muffins laying around the house, you can kind of use whatever is in your fridge for your pizza toppings, and you can make them for lunch or a snack. It's really quick and very easy, much easier than making an actual pizza. So I'm just going to go through our ingredients and our equipment for our English muffin pizzas. So today for our English muffin pizzas, we are going to need some English muffins. These are homemade English muffins because I like to make my own. So that's why they look a little bit wonky. But if you don't want to make your own English muffins, that's absolutely fine. You can buy a variety of different muffins in the store. We're also going to have pizza toppings. So for my pizzas, I like to have pepperoni and peppers and onions. So that's what I'm going to be using. We also have a little tomato paste watered down with a little bit of water, just so it's spreadable. And we're going to add some spices to that later. Some garlic powder and some Italian herbs. And then we also have, of course, some cheese. And I have some mozzarella cheese grated up in this bowl here. As far as equipment goes, you'll just need a knife. I have a knife to cut my vegetables, and I've got a bread knife to cut my muffins. And you'll need some sort of pan to put in that's oven proof, that you can put into your oven and cook your muffins. So, as usual, I like to take a minute in my Let's Make Lunch programs just to talk a little bit about the history of some of these foods. So, English muffins are very interesting to me because they're kind of they seem very American to me. But apparently, they actually come from England. And in England, they aren't called English muffins. They're just called muffins. And back in let me get my date right here, 1875, a gentleman by the name of Samuel Bath Thomas emigrated from Plymouth, England to New York. And when he came to New York, he opened a bakery, and he used his mom's recipe for muffins, and he called them English muffins so that people would know they weren't the kind of muffins like blueberry muffins or something like that. They called those American muffins in Britain. So he called these English muffins, and he started making those at his bakery, and he would sell them at his bakery and also to grocery stores in the area. And then he became kind of mass producing them. So there is still a Thomas brand of English muffins that you can find in the grocery store, actually. So I think that's kind of interesting. And I wasn't sure about the muffins. I actually lived in Britain for a while, and I had never seen these kind of muffins called muffins. They have something fairly similar, which is called a crumpet, but crumpets are not the same thing. But we did actually, I looked in a cookbook that I have from a British baker or British cook, and she has a recipe for muffins, which are our English muffins. So there you go, a little history for you. So I am ready to get going with our English muffin pizzas. So we're going to start by prepping our ingredients. What we need to do first is we need to split our English muffins. So we're going to very carefully, I've got a bread knife. We're going to carefully put your bread knife about halfway in between. You want to keep your fingers out of the way, of course. And we're just going to kind of make a sawing motion, try and get that split as evenly as possible. If you have commercially made or store-bought English muffins, you may be able to just pull them apart with a fork. My English muffins, since they're homemade, don't do that as well. So I'm using a knife. And I find sometimes even the muffins in the store that I buy don't always just pull apart like they're supposed to. So we've got our 2 English muffins, and I've got those separated. I put those right into my pan so that I can get rid of my bread knife. All right, so since these are kind of small, we want to cut our ingredients a little bit smaller than we normally would. Normally you would just, and you can just put whole pepperonis on if you want, but I like to cut them up a little bit small just because it's a smaller canvas. So I'm just stacking them up here and cutting them through. Make sure to keep your fingers out of the way. And the pepperonis can be a little slippery, so just make sure you try and keep your fingers out of the way. And if your hands get too greasy, just wipe them off. Okay, so we're just going to make a little pile of pepperonis over here, like so. All right, and then we're going to cut up some onion. So this is kind of a part of an onion that I had laying around my fridge, so it's a little bit different than I normally would cut it. So I'm just going to cut a few slices carefully. And then, because I only want little pieces, I probably don't need all of this onion. That's quite a bit of onion. I'm just going to tuck your fingers, remember? And we're just going to slice. And I'm going to turn it a little bit and slice some more. So you can see we're getting some diced onion. Okay, when you get down to that last piece of onion, make sure you keep your fingers out of the way. And then very carefully, not on the blade, just on the flat part, you can take the onion off of your knife if you need to. I'm going to cut a little bit more. Okay. That's probably enough onion for this. And then I'm going to cut some pepper. So the pepper has seeds in it, and these ribs. So we want to get rid of those. So what I'm going to do, and there's different ways of doing this, but I'm going to cut it kind of down the middle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my knife in here, and I'm just going to very gently run my knife right under that rib and take that out. And I'm going to do the same thing with this seed pod here. And I'm just going to run my knife right underneath that and pop that out. There we go. So that you've removed, that white part and the seeds. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this into some small strips. Let the knife do the work for you. That's what it's there for. If your knife isn't sharp, this is going to be a lot more difficult. And actually, sharp knives are safer to use than dull knives. So it's a good idea to sharpen your knives fairly regularly or have someone do it. I have a little knife sharpener, so that's what I use now and then when I feel like they're getting a little bit dull. So I'm just going to cut this all up. Maybe put some more on there. Let's see here. We'll cut this part up too, I think, since we have it sliced already. And when you're dicing vegetables for a recipe, you want to try and get the pieces to be pretty close in size, right? You don't want a bunch of little and a bunch of big ones. You want them to be about the same size so that they cook the same at the same rate, okay? So we've got all of our toppings cut up and ready to go. Mise en place, if you remember that from the first video. All right, so I'm going to make my own tomato sauce, my own pizza sauce. You can buy a jar of pizza sauce in the grocery store if you would rather do that. I find that the grocery store jars of pizza sauce are a little too runny for me. I like mine a little thicker, so I just use a can of tomato paste and I mix it with a little water, like I said, so it's not quite pouring consistency. It's kind of spreadable. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a couple of dashes of a garlic powder, and let's And then this is just a mixed Italian seasoning. So it's got like oregano and basil and thyme and things like that in it. So we're just going to sprinkle a little bit of that in to our pizza sauce to give it a little Italian flavor. So I'm just going to mix that all together. And we will be ready to start putting our pizzas together. Now it is time to make our pizzas. So I know that these are the ingredients that I like. The sky is the limit. If you have leftover sausage, you could use sausage on your pizza. If you have leftover chicken and you like chicken with barbecue on your pizza with some cheese, maybe some onions, whatever, you can put those on there. If you like pineapple on your pizza, by all means, put it on. Anything you want to put on the pizza is okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by putting a little dollop of pizza sauce on each of our muffins, our split muffins in the pan. Might as well work right in the pan because it's going to go in the oven anyway. So, all right, so we're going to use up all that sauce. And what you want to do is just take the back of your spoon and spread it out to the edge of each of these. Alright, so I'll just spread that all out. Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to do a chicken barbecue pizza, you could totally do that. You would just want to use barbecue sauce in place of your tomato sauce in that case. I like to get it as much to the edges as possible. I really like sauce on my pizza. If you don't like as much sauce, you don't have to put as much on. I just really like pizza sauce. So we are almost done spreading this out. All right. So we've got our pizza sauce all on our pizzas. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sprinkle some of the mozzarella. I like a big helping of it. It's really good. So we're going to sprinkle our mozzarella onto our mini pizzas here. Just like so. If you don't like as much cheese, you don't have to use that much. It's fine. Alright, getting down to the end here. Too much on that one. Alright. There we are. Okay, and now we just finish up by putting whatever toppings we want on our pizzas. So I'm going to put our pepperoni on, just kind of break it apart a little bit. There we go. So we got our oven started. I am preheated the oven to 375, and we're going to put this into our 375 oven. Once I get all of these toppings on, all the good stuff. Don't worry if some of them slide off, that's fine. It's not perfect. It doesn't have to be. Alright, so okay. One more. Got a little onion here. That on there. And these are going to be deluxe. I used to make these a lot when I was a kid. A lot for lunchtime. Or a quick dinner. Alright, so our muffins are loaded up with all our good pizza toppings and sauce and cheese. So we are going to put those into a 375-degree oven. Be careful with the oven, it's hot. It's been about 15 minutes. The pizzas are just finishing up in the oven. So I'm going to make sure I press the stop button on my oven since we are done. And open the oven door carefully. It is pretty warm in there. You don't want to stick your face too close to it when you open it. We're going to carefully, with our oven mitts, pull out our rack. And with both hands, carefully take the pan out of the oven and put it on our oven mitt there. So you see, these are, they're looking pretty good actually. The cheese is melted and the toppings have kind of melted into the cheese a little bit. So I'm just gonna get one of these out of here. Oh, look at that. And there we are. You could serve that with a little salad if you'd like, or some fruit to make a delicious and healthy lunch or dinner or snack. So I hope you enjoyed the English muffin pizzas, and please join us next time on Let's Make Lunch.